Jaya, beautiful, gorgeous beings. How is my hair this morning? The sky is so bright. Yes, we can do this. The topic for this video is karma. Subtle dynamics of your karma. Various karma. I'm pretty sure that you're a bit confused about this whole karmic thing, and hopefully after the end, by the end of this video, you will be even more confused, because karma is a complex topic. In very simple terms, here is what, if you don't know what karma is, it's like the laws of cause and effect. It's like your past, the charge that you accumulated over the past and that are impacting your life right now. It means that something happens in your field and you go like, oh, this is because I did that yesterday. I called somebody and that person called me back. This is karma. It's like the law of cause and effect. You create something, it creates a ripple effect in the consciousness of life, in the consciousness of humankind, in the consciousness of the universe. You take an action and then that action comes back to you in the form of waves of energies and actions and things happening in your field. And so the reason why there is confusion is because we don't usually have a complete understanding of what karma is. We don't see the whole picture. And what we miss in general is the fact that there is something that we can call collective karma. You have individual karma and then you have collective karma. For instance, you have the karma of your family. Imagine that you are born in a very wealthy family and that's it. You don't have to work for the rest of your life. You don't have to produce anything. You can just relax on a beach somewhere, enjoy the Caribbean sunshine and just spend the rest of your life just enjoying. Okay? This is family karma. What about country karma? Imagine that you are born in a very poor country. I mean, somewhere in the mountains of Nepal, and you are working in the rice field and it's really hard. Or you are born in New York, again, in a wealthy family who is paying for your studies, for you to become an engineer or a researcher or some high-profile profession. This is family karma. It doesn't mean that you necessarily deserved it on a personal level. You didn't do anything personally, but there is something that streams into your life because it's inherited. You see, it's a group karma. What about country karma? You arrive somewhere and you say, I'm Swiss, or I'm American, or I'm Canadian. I don't know why. Every time you see a Canadian, Canadians have good reputation. The same with Australians. When you say I'm from Australia, people go like, oh, you're a cool person. It's just like that. And when you come from a country that has been, for instance, initiating wars around the world, then usually there is a bit of tension in the field. You say, well, it's not me, it's my country, it's the people in my government who have been doing that. I'm not responsible for that. The fact that a certain country came into another land and invaded that land doesn't mean that all the people in that country are guilty of having done it. Some people didn't want that. So how come you're carrying the country's karma? You go like, wow, that's unfair. It should not be like that, right? Part of you goes like, that's unfair. There is some karma, some things that are happening in my life that are unfair. I didn't sign up for that. Well, let's take an example. For instance, you get bitten by a wasp, right? And then each time you see a wasp coming into your field, you're afraid. You respond, you react. You might have an aggressive response to that. For instance, a wasp bites you, you might kill that wasp. And then every time you see a wasp, you go like, oh, I'm going to kill this thing because it's a wasp. That specific wasp didn't do anything to you. That specific ant didn't invade your house. This ant is just walking there. When you smash it, that specific mosquito didn't bite you. It's the one from yesterday. So why is that individual paying for something that happened to you yesterday? It's because it's a group karma. It's you have something that we could call gender karma, for instance. By the fact that I'm a man, women are going to look at me in a certain way. Sometimes have projections about their past relationships, things that happened to them. A woman has been abused by a guy, and then part of her is going to be, not fully trusting when a man comes into her field because of that. Okay? So, gender karma, family karma, country karma, religious karma. You arrive somewhere and you say, I'm a Christian, or I'm a Buddhist, or I'm a Muslim. You know, people are going to look at you in different ways just because you say that, depending on your haircut, depending on what you wear. If you appear on camera half naked, you know, it's like those karmas, or those collective karmas that we are talking about. It's something that we tend to forget about. We always, you know, the individual karma kind of makes sense, you know, but when it comes to group karma, yeah, there are lots of things that are happening in your life just because you are belonging to a certain group, or a certain country, or a certain family, a certain tribe, a certain profession. You know, you arrive somewhere and you say, I'm a lawyer, or I'm a carpenter. That's it. People are already labeling and already, you know, locking you within frames that are going to attract certain qualities and certain things in your field. Okay, so group karma and individual karma. This is something that is going to help you just understand. And you might go like, wow, group karma is really not fair. Well, you know, this is basically the system that we're trapped in this planet. This is the way it functions. So we can fight that system and pretend that it's not good, but this is the way it has been designed by the karmic laws that are overseeing karmic lords. Yeah. Well, okay, now imagine that out there in the spheres there are beings, there is like these big networking channels that keep track of all that stuff, of all these actions, and then they record and they write in a little booklet. No, it's like, it must be much more complex than that. You know, it is recorded because every action that you take, or every action that is taken by your family, is recorded as a wave. You know, if you have a fight with your neighbor over something stupid, or you do something really great as a charity, you send lots of help to a country which needs it, you know, the impact, the ripple effect, this is going to create a wave in the construct of consciousness, in the collective. And you can imagine that each one of these waves keeps rippling, or keeps having an impact for a certain period of time. After a while, it might dissolve, you know, some of these karmas might dissolve, but basically it creates a ripple effect. And imagine that out there, you know, this is a bit of a romantic idea, but that out there are beings, or there are systems which are recording or keeping track of all of that. Okay, yeah, the karmic lords, you know, this is something that we call also the Akashic records. If you haven't heard that term before, Akasha is a spirit, and the Akashic records are the spiritual records. It means that, you know, when we go like in facing St. Peter, who is there, you know, at the gates of heaven, it says, no, well, you have to go back. You are not ready yet, you know, or you might be approved into heaven. It means that it's literally a karmic judging moment, you know, in the Christian mythology, or the Christian myth, where you are being judged for the actions that you have been taking throughout your life. And so, you know, those different creation stories and those different karmic stories, you know, you can believe in them. Some of them are a bit romantic, a bit simplified. I do believe that in reality it's much more complex than that, you know, that it is like we can track it if we had access to the vision of how our actions impact. You know, each time you have a thought, that thought creates a certain electromagnetic wave, and that wave is going to impact in the rest of your brain and create a certain mindset. And sometimes you share that thought with somebody and you might completely change somebody's destiny just by what you say. You know, somebody might be depressed and you might completely pump them up and send them on a different track in their life. So you create what we could call good karma points in there. It means that somehow the record of this action is staying in the field of that person, who might send it back to you in certain ways. You know, maybe that person might talk about you to somebody else, and somebody else might come into your field and thank you in a different way. So there are these kind of karmic, you know, cycles and networks that are happening that are really magical. And my belief is that it's way more complex than just simple action result, it's not just two directional. It's like you create a wave and then that wave ripples and goes somewhere else, and and then eventually impacts and comes back to you in different ways. And sometimes you have waves hitting you that have nothing to do with your own individual actions. Again, they are the result of the collective. So let's check that a little bit further. Sometimes you are going to be impacted in your field by, for instance, your wife's or your husband's choices. If your wife does something for the community that you live in, then this is good family karma that somehow is going to impact you. People are going to smile to you more because your wife is great. She's doing great things. Or maybe your kid did something, and then you receive the benefits of that. And so, depending on the context you are in, depending the people you associate with, this is where there is a choice as well. But some of them you have no choice. Like the color of your passport is that's an identity, and it's hard to change that. And so when you want to change that, imagine that there is something that the group that you belong to by birth, or the profession that you belong to, is doing something that you don't like, then you can do what we would call a karmic dissociation. It means that this is what the medical profession is doing, for instance, right now, but I don't associate myself with these people. My practice is different. I practice it in a different way. Or you are a lawyer, for instance, and you are, working with activists for the protection of the environment, for instance, and you go like, wow, you are basically bringing in a certain degree of ethical or value consideration that is going to shift your karmic association with a certain group that that you might disagree with. So you can choose, you can select, you can reorganize that karmic line. For instance, somebody wants to get violent with you or attack you on something because they think that you belong to a certain group. You say, look, I love you, I respect you, I'm not here to challenge you, we are one, we are part of the same humankind, I feel resonance with you, I love you, I don't want to have a battle with you. Okay, this is like reinforcing the belonging to the same planet, and instead of being like, okay, I'm American or I'm Jew or I'm Arab, and entering into conflict just because of your race or because of your nation, you reinforce something else. So you dissociate with the actions of another group of people and you reinforce certain things. So you can change your karma. You can change that direction through that. And sometimes, this little ant, just before you squash it, you say, I'm not here to invade your house. These are my friends over there who did it yesterday, but I'm just passing by. You go like, wow. I'm sure you have a voice and you have a certain set of biochemicals that are being sent in my direction right now, but I cannot hear that. I cannot hear your message. So maybe sometimes the karmic lords are like, you know what, you didn't speak loud enough. We didn't hear that. It was not clear enough, the dissociation that you were planning. Anyway, what I want to say here is that this is a very complex thing, and if you feel that life is somehow unfair, the moment you start bringing in the collective karma, everything starts falling into place and starts making sense. And you go like, collective karma, why? Why am I paying for the actions of other people, or for the actions or the choices of the politicians who are leading my country? That's not fair. To a certain extent, I agree. Hey, whoa, karmic lots over there, can we change the rules a little bit? That would be cool, because I'm sure that lots of people feel like that. So what are we going to do about it? Maybe just pray and ask for a different, different mindset. So think about another concept here, the idea of good karma points and bad karma points. When you take an action that is rippling from a place of heart and positive action and clear values, then maybe you get some good karma points. You do something really nice. You rescue this poor mosquito that is dying, and you go like, oh my God, a living form, it's so beautiful. Here, go, live, keep on flying. You go, that's a beautiful thing, that maybe you go like, wow, this is shifting my vibration, my frequency to a certain extent. Did you have that experience before? Like rescuing some poor little insect out of something and feeling like the grace coming in, instant grace. I mean, one time I was like, oh my God, that felt really good. And it's just a little insect, but it's a conscious action. So you score what we would call some good karma points. And you might say, wow, you know, a good action cannot be aimed at scoring anything or at doing some good karma points because otherwise it neutralizes it. Yeah, I don't know about that. You know, I feel that sometimes the intention is really to do good, to make you feel good. It's like you do something because you know also that the consequences of that are going to impact positively in your life. You do it because it feels good. It feels good, and this feel good is already like the karmic reward of having done the right thing. So, you know, of course, if you're not in your truth, you are doing something just to get the karmic reward. Yeah, I mean, this is another discussion, but basically this is the point that I want to make here, is that you can actually generate good karma points. I joke with my friends sometimes about that. I go like, wow, you just scored like 23 good karma points that are going to be recorded right now in your Akashic records. Well done, keep going. You know, it's like, it's funny. And I think that to a certain extent that's the way it works. But let's not oversimplify it and romanticize it. Good karma points, bad karma points, you can also score that. The Akashic records, the karmic lords out there, let's call beauty into these spheres. There is something also that we can call a karmic charge. Sometimes there is something in your field that needs to be cleared, and it's a karmic charge because there is some guilt or shame or some tension around something, some ongoing conflict in your field or with somebody. So there is a karmic charge there that can be freed. We could call that also karma clearing. You know, sometimes you might go to a healer and that person is going to go through your field and, you know, give you some love and touch and eventually activate something in your chakras or in your field that says, you know, you can call that karma resetting or karma clearing. So the conclusion to all that is that karma is much more than just the consequences of your own individual actions. Again, come back to that. There is the collective karma, depending on the groups and you know, just by the fact that you are a human being, you belong to humankind, and there is a whole lot of karma that is involved with that. The fact that you have a body, the fact that you have mindsets, emotions, feelings, that you have karmic history as a human race, you know, all that stuff, it's part of our culture, it's part of the collective, and so there is a certain karma which is a consequence of being human. Something else that I think is important is that once you start overseeing those dynamics, I do believe that most of the times when something comes into your field that you don't understand, you can actually track back the karmic consequence or the karmic, what we could call the karmic pathways. It means that somehow there is some form of logic and some form of coherence in the way things happen on this planet. And so you can look into the invisible and kind of start to understand these dynamics a little bit more. So look beyond the limits of your own individual karma and start involving the, you know, group and tribal karma, because this is a key solution or a key opening in your field to understand that. And yeah, one more thing about this, you know, humankind karma, the karma of being human. You know, right now we hear stories like that, like, oh, these hurricanes or volcanic explosions or earthquakes or all that. It's the earth sending back a message towards human beings. And of course, because we are humans, we are being impacted by the rage or the response or the energetic response from planet Earth, who is angry with humankind because we are functioning a little bit like a plague, destroying the environment. You know, this is part of it. Another part is like the earth is feeding us, so we've got some good karma there. We are growing plants and having all this joy and happiness to be alive. This is still part of. But another part is like something that you could see as a punishment. So, is this the way it works? Is this like nature giving us signals and, you know, smashing us with catastrophes and, you know, big storms and other events of nature attacks on humankind? Is this the way it works? I'll let the question open. What do you feel? Is this like the earth talking to us? If we see the earth as an organism, and somehow we are cells on this organism that are misbehaving, then yes, maybe there is some protective force there that is supposed to be preserving the earth and is going to attack or challenge the cells that are misbehaving. So yeah, it's something to be followed. Karma is a vast topic, you know. You have hundreds of books that have been written on the topic. It has been part of our history and our culture as a human race. Anyway, karma, understand the laws of karma. And there is something that we could call karma resetting, and it's the idea that sometimes your karmas can be cleared because you make a certain decision in your life that wipes out and resets your belonging to something that is much vaster than yourself. This one is a vast topic. I'm not going to extend it right now, but I'll come back to it in another video. I love you. You're amazing.